Hello, welcome back to another video tutorial here at GeekatPlay Studios. My name is Gary Miller. We're finishing up our making a Mediterranean roof tutorial that I started several months ago. And when we finished off then, we had created the roof top that you see and just made it on top of this makeshift temporary little rooftop that I had made. But today we're going to finish it up by adding these little end pieces, end caps, whatever they would be called, and putting them on the edges of our roof. So let me get rid of that and we will get started. And in much the same fashion as we modeled the top of the Mediterranean roof, we're going to use a grid just exactly the same. And I'm not concerned about the size. I just want to click and create one cell. I want this to be 10 up here in the U, and this to be 5 in the V, and I'm going to OK that. And just resize this. There we are. And bring it into position here where we can actually use it. Okay, now I know the angle of this rooftop is 45 degrees, so I'm just going to hold down my shift button and rotate that 45 degrees because now I just want to size this up here. And I have it on selection mode, which allows me now to stretch it out along its the axis of its orientation. Okay, I think I may have made this long enough. We'll find out. If when we're done sculpting this, it's not long enough, we can just go back and do a little more stretching. That wouldn't be a big deal. Okay, I'm going to return this back flat. I'm going to come up here to select edges, select that edge. I want to loop it, and I'm going to hit my soft selection tool because now all I want to do is drag upwards. Let me zoom in because I want to create that nice semicircle radius. There we are. All right. Let's return it back. And I'm going to rotate it one more time, 45 degrees. What I want to do now is make sure it's the proper size, so I'm just going to place it over the existing roofing pieces. And I'm not going for exact rocket science correctness here. Okay, that's good enough. I guess I could enlarge it a little bit more, but I'd say that's fine. Alright, now let's move it out of place. And once again, I'm going to return it to its horizontal position. Okay, I want to select these edges here that go along the middle. I'm going to loop that. Let me zoom in here. And come over here to Vertex Modeling. I want to select the third Extract Edge tool because what I want to do is duplicate those edges and move them in the direction that is shown. I don't want to move them in the other direction. Now, the reason I want to move them in the direction that I just did and not the other is pretty much twofold. I'll undo what I just did and I'll move them in the other direction. Now, it's true, it could go in this direction, but the edges that are currently selected, if I go to make my roof, well, now it's backwards. The idea of a roof is to shed rainwater, not collect it. But if I undo that, move them in the opposite direction, now the edges that I want to continue working with are currently selected, I don't have to go and reselect them manually. Okay, so that was why I wanted to move them in the direction that I did. And let me just size this up so it is approximate to the rooftop in terms of its thickness. Okay, I'd say that looks pretty good. I'm going to select these outside edges here, and I want to press loop. Now I want to use my fast extrude tool, and I'm just going to extrude downwards and give a little thickness to this. There we are. Now what I want to do is Control D and duplicate that object. Return back to select edges. I want to select the bottom edges here, here, and on the back. I want to loop that. I'm going to hit F to convert that selection of edges to faces, and I'm going to delete it. Now I'm just going to use my Snap Align tool and snap it and align it right underneath. Now it looks like it has size and thickness. It looks like a real roofing tile. Now you're probably wondering, why did I go through the extra steps? Why didn't I come over here to surface modeling and use the thickness tool? Well, I will let you do that on your own, and you will find it won't give you the accurate results that this method yields. So with those two items selected, I'm going to weld them together. Let's move this over into its approximate location, and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. Change its the gizmo's orientation to selection, and I will just rotate it a little bit. Change it back to world. Let's place it on here. Go back to selection. And one more time for to world. And I think we're going to have to come back to selection and move it where it belongs. There we are. It's flush against the rest of the roof. And that looks... I could rotate it. No, I'm not going to rotate it anymore. Let me move it down just a little bit. There we are. Now they are sort of interlocking. And world. There we are. Okay, look at that. Perfect little cap right over the edge. Okay, now what I want to do is come over here to Vertex Modeling. Let me call this cap. Come over here to Vertex Modeling. I want to use my Symmetry Tool. Now, I don't want to Control D duplicate it, because if I do that and then move it over, it's the reverse. Well, okay, so I'll just rotate it, and yeah, it's all messed up. So that's why I don't want to Control D to duplicate it. What I will do is use my Symmetry tool, and it will create a duplicate for me. And now all I have to do is just very lightly reposition it as such. Let me change to selection mode and pull it off of the roof. There we are. Okay. And you know, they do look a little bit short here. I actually want them to come up a little bit longer, and I wouldn't have known that until I had created my duplicate. So all I'm going to do is come to selection mode, and I'll just stretch this out a little bit. And that comes up there a little bit nicer. Okay. World Symmetry. And let's see how much we need to rotate this one. Come over to selection mode. Pretty simple. It's very straightforward. Okay, well, we're done with our caps. What are we going to do about this horrible looking seam here, or this joint where everything comes together? Well, to solve that problem, I'm going to come over here to the internet and look at Mediterranean roofs. And here's one of the images I showed at the beginning of the tutorials, and it looks as though they use some sort of cement or some stucco material, concrete material to seal off those edges. I know my neighbor's roof next door, he's got that on his. So all we need to do, here's another little image. You can see some concrete, a big glob of concrete there to prevent any water from leaking in there. And I'm sure if I looked longer, I'd find lots more images. So we're just going to create a little glob of concrete that we can stick in there. And to do that, I'm going to start off by creating a cube, rotate it 45 degrees. I'll just bring it up here. There we are. Let's shrink it down just a bit. Move it into place. And if you want to be really precise, use your Snap Align tool. So it falls exactly center. You can stretch that. Oop, no, I don't want to stretch it out. I want to rotate it back. There we are. Okay, I'm going to hit smoothing twice. Click off of that. It needs to be enlarged just a bit. Let's pop that into place. Let's turn on soft selection, points, and we're going to use our tweak tool. And let's see what 3 does. 3 is our point 315 was a little too much. Let's see what this number is. What effect it has. Well, come up a little bit. And probably a little bit more. There we are. Okay, all I'm going to do is just do a little sculpting here to make my little piece of concrete or roofing mud, whatever it's called, just to fill in the gaps and create a water seal. And in looking at the images that I've seen on the internet and on my neighbors, probably the messier that you make it, the more realistic it will look. the fact that it comes over the edges of my tiles, that's very realistic, because that's the whole idea. You want to create a water barrier. And I'd say we're done with that. Hit validate to finish that off. Okay, I'm going to come over here to select objects, and I'm going to right click and do a loop selection. Come over here to symmetry, click on the back. Now the new thing that we just created is this group here, and it's a reverse of everything that it's a mirror image of everything that we previously modeled, and let's pop that into place. There we go. And that is creating a Mediterranean style roof right here in Hexagon. And let's just, for the fun of it, select everything. Our entire polygon count is very low. It's only 4,760, which, if you consider, if you do create a roof like this out of all individual pieces, you'd most definitely be looking at a polygon count considerably higher than this. So this method makes a good, realistic, convincing Mediterranean style roof with a reasonably low polygon count. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you can benefit from this. Thanks for watching here at GeekatPlay Studios. My name is Gary Miller. Have a good day.